Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Planetarium show. My name is Jessica. I'm the director of Planetarium, and with me tonight is one of our new familiar faces, but I will still let them introduce themselves.
Hello, my name is Braden. I'm a vocal music education student here at UMD.
Sorry if there was just some very loud noise. My apartment is near the interstate, and I don't know what just happened.
Uh-oh.
Did you hear that, or was it
No,
just
I did
me?
not. It didn't
Okay,
come through
good.
my... So, uh-oh.
Maybe it didn't go through. It wasn't like a crash or anything. It sounded like horns.
Oh, okay.
We're already sidetracked. Hi, hello everyone. We hope you are home safe and warm. And for those in Minnesota or in the Midwest, I guess, ready for this winter
Yeah,
storm that's hitting.
yeah.
Um, I know southern Minnesota's already getting hit. We're supposed to be like pretty soon. It's supposed to be reaching us.
It,
So
it's it's already like started. Now it's gonna get bad. Like from what I think is that it's going to be one of those storms where you're going to go to bed and it's going to be fine, and then you're going to wake up and you're going to have 6 inches of
everything.
snow. Yeah, you're going to be screwed.
We'll see what it looks like in the morning. But to those
Okay.
who are enduring the storm, stay warm, stay safe. If you have to
Yeah.
travel in it, obviously be careful.
Yeah.
But for now, we're here to enjoy a lovely planetarium stream. We are bringing back a show that hasn't been done in a while because our original creator of the show, Eli, has graduated.
Mm,
But Braden here has taken it over and is going to be doing our Star Wars show, um,
absolutely.
which is so much fun. And yeah, I think I'm going to stop talking and
That's
just
okay.
turn it over to you, Braden.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
So,
if there are any questions throughout the show, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I will keep an eye on that. We'll let Brayden know if they come up. We don't always get questions right away, but we promise we will at the end of the show. Okay,
yeah,
now it's
yeah,
all
yeah.
yours. I think I
Sweet,
remembered.
sweet, sweet. Let me just continue stalling for one more second while I get this all set up. Okay, okay. Alrighty. Here is Star Wars fact or fiction. Now, like Jessica said, this is not my show originally. This is a show written by Eli, who is a yeah, again a past student planetarian like me, and but I've gone through it. I've made it a bit my own, and we're gonna kind of go through it. It's still very much his show, so I want to still pay respects to everything, but I say let's just get into it. This is Star Wars fact or fiction. We're going to be kind of going through some of the big things within Star Wars and determining whether or not they're fact or fiction. So, starting off, we're going to go to binary systems. Now, we the binary systems are most notably seen within Tatooine, specifically in the first Star Wars movie, Star Wars: A New Hope, where we have this iconic binary sunset scene where you have the amazing like John Williams score playing where Luke finally decides, yes, I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go be a Jedi. I'm gonna go do everything. So, uh but we have to find out, is this fact or fiction? And the answer to that is fact. These binary stars kind of exist everywhere in our universe, as up to like almost 85% of star systems are believed to at least be binary, while some can even be like ternary or quaternary. So like there could be even like stars with three stars orbiting each other, or four, or maybe even five. We don't really, but we do know that, but like the actual like a percentage amount is a bit hard to actually quantify. But an excellent example of these that we can see within our solar system is going to be Mizar and Alcor, which we can see within the bend of the Big Dipper. This is a binary system that you can see with naked eye. So next time you're out in the outside at night and you see the Big Dipper, if you want to try recreating the scene, you very much can with those two stars. Now, moving on, we're going to go to our next thing, habitable zones, which is planets that are able to sustain life. We see these all over the Star Wars universe. You have Coruscant, Tatooine, Endor, Yavin 4, Hoth. All these planets slash moons exist within a habitable zone. Now, habitable zones are exactly that. They are facts because that's exactly where Earth sits. Earth sits directly in like the perfect spot where life is able to exist. Now, little asterisks with that. When we say life, we mean life. That means life on Earth. So the requirements for life on Earth. So that it's gonna mean like liquid water, reasonable atmosphere, and all of that stuff. But we do not necessarily know if all life in the universe directly goes based on that fact. There have been thoughts that maybe there's uh that maybe life could be formed on planets where like liquid methane is its main source of liquid within it. Oh, I'm gonna go back a little bit, but uh again, but back to habitable zones. The hotter the star gets, uh the further away the range of the star, the range of the habitable zone is. We see this vaguely in Star Wars, as different worlds exhibit qualities that we would see on planets at various locations in the habitable zone. Earth, of course, sits within the zone, but there are other planets out there that do as well. Specifically, like stuff that we can see are Kepler 186f, which orbits a red dwarf, and TOI 700d, which also orbits a red dwarf. These are two examples of exoplanets that also exist within habitable zones. Those we do not necessarily know if they have life yet. We can hope, but um, those are excellent examples of exoplanets. And we do believe that there are probably hundreds of thousands of millions of these within our solar system, within our universe, not solar system. Moving on, we're going to go to probably my favorite thing to examine uh, within this show, and that is going to be a specific moon within Saturn known as Mimas. Now, as soon as I pull it up, you can kind of already start to see the resemblance. Um, Mimas is a star discovered, is not a star, is a moon discovered in 1789 by astronomer and physicist William Herschel. The creator quite literally resembles the laser of the Death Star. Uh, uh, it's just something that like is such a wild coincidence. Um, and it's just something that's really really interesting. Um, so oh my gosh, I'm completely blanking. Uh, interestingly the oh my god, the crater that resembles the super laser is named Herschel after William Herschel, the person who discovered it. 3 years after the after oh my gosh, I cannot like talk today. Jeez. After it's discovered was After it's discovered, it was discovered in 1980, the crater that is, 3 years after the first Star Wars film was released. Interestingly, the Herschel emits an intense heat, very much like the kyber crystal laser that is in the Death Star, which is a very interesting coincidence. Not a something that that it's just the whole thing with Mimas is just such an insane coincidence and such a fun thing to point out. I love it. We're gonna move on to our next thing that is going to be blaster weapons within Star Wars. We see the stormtroopers use this. We see Boba Fett use this. We see the clone troopers, the droids. Everybody uses blaster weapons. Han Solo. Um, they're commonly mistaken as lasers, but blasters actually fire bolts of very intense plasma energy, converted from Rick gas. Now, this may seem like the sound and work of science fiction, but it's actually pretty possible, and has already been done. Plasma is the fourth state of matter, in which charged particles, like electrons, detach from atoms and flow freely. The bolts we see here would be plasmoids, like globs of plasma held together in a distinct shape by an electric or magnetic field. These fields can be generated as the bolts travels by shaping the bolts into a spheromach, which is a configuration of plasma that would generate a magnetic field as the plasma moved. The spheromachs only hold their shape for tens of hundreds of microseconds, which would be plenty of time for the bolt to travel to its target. The plasma in these bolts burn at 1,000 times the temperature of the surface of the sun. The average temperature of the sun is going to be around 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So just a bit of context of how hot that is going to be, and would certainly cause a bit of damage. uh, while the typical Star Wars blaster may be out of reach with like our technology today, the ideas behind it are kind of rooted in facts. We may be able to actually make stuff like this in the future, which would be really cool. Dangerous. I would not recommend anybody using them. I do not know when like Nerf is going to do their blaster weapon collection, but I do not recommend them doing that. Uh, Alrighty. Now we're gonna move on from blaster weapons to um an area that I would like to say, starting off, that I'm very ignorant in. My major is specifically music education, so it does not touch into aerospace very much, believe it or not. But I can give a very brief synopsis on this section. That is going to be flight within Star Wars. In Star Wars, we see very few differences between flight on planet versus a flight in space. The ships operate essentially the same. When in reality, it would be two completely different experiences. On a planet with an atmosphere, say like Naboo in The Phantom Menace, when in the beginning of the movie when Qui-Gon and everyone are taking off from Naboo and flying to Tatooine. It's able to move like there is no gravity there at all. It's able to, like, you're just pick like say you just pick it up and you're able to just move it around independently, like how I'm moving my phone right now. Well, in reality, that is going to be not how flight works at all. Your craft is subject to many forces imparted by the air you're flying through. In order to turn, an aircraft must execute a banked turn, which is when the plane tilts slightly to one side as the direction of the lift force changes direction. The plane will then begin to follow like a circular path as the lift force and the force of gravity combined to pull the plane to the side. So as we can see here, that's why when we see planes like starting to land, they do that kind of like slight like curved turn. Now that's kind of how a basis of how flight works in on a planet, but in space it's going to be very, very different. In a space without pressure of an atmosphere or a planet supplying lift and gravity, you'd essentially have to create your own force to move the ship. For example, if we wanted the Millennium Falcon here to move in any direction, specifically, let's say the direction of the green arrow here, we need to combine both forces represented by the red arrows to move this way. But the problem is the Millennium Falcon only has one rocket, which is right here at the back of the Falcon. Um, and in order to get full range of movement, we would need rockets here, 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 here. You need rockets essentially everywhere to provide the force and the forces combined enough to really move the ship in any sort of direction, which I'm not gonna lie would make for some kind of interesting looking toys, Lego sets, and all of that stuff. But it's an interesting thing. It is sadly fiction. Flight in space is incredibly complicated, but it's a movie about space wizards. So what can you really expect at the end of the day? Moving on, we're going to go to another thing of space flight, and that is just something that is like a really interesting thing to think about, and that is whenever we're looking at all of these big battles, when you have like the Battle of the Death Star, the Battle of Coruscant right here that we can see on our slideshow, um, all the ships are oriented in the same direction. Now, this doesn't really break any laws of physics or anything, but it's interesting that when you're in space with no real up or down or like orientation, that all of the ships would be upright facing the same way. In reality, the ships would likely be oriented in all different directions as they landed from if they launch from planets all at different angles as they change directions as they bob and weave uh through a bunch of like stuff like asteroid fields. Now, speaking of asteroid fields, this is one that is quite wrong in the Star Wars universe. That is an asteroid field. See, the thing with asteroid fields is that when we're in Star Wars, you can see the characters like Han Solo here in the Millennium Falcon bobbing and weaving through these very like ever-changing maze-like circumstances of boulders and little rocks and icy debris. When in reality, if you're in like an actual asteroid belt, say like the asteroid belt in our solar system, it would basically be like flying through empty space. Now, the reasoning for that is will also reasoning for that is because I think a lot of people misunderstand just how large space is. Um, for example, when we send like a probe flying through our asteroid belt, it has less than 1 in a billion chance of colliding with something. And there have been multiple probes that have gone through there that have traversed that region without even imaging one asteroid field. So this is sadly fiction. I like the idea of these big clumps of rock that are like all like huddling around together, but again, it is sadly not true. And now we're gonna get to another one that kind of hurts me particularly because it's one that is I think is just really funny, and that is going to be waves in space. Now, this is in episode 2 of Attack of the Clones, where Jango Fett is currently being chased by Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan is about to catch up to him, but Jango Fett is able to detonate a seismic charge right behind him to kind of get Obi-Wan out of his way for a little bit. Now, if you know anything about space, you may have heard the thing that there's no sound in space. Um, this is because there's no actual medium for the waves to travel through. So that would include seismic waves. Sound is the vibration of air molecules. We hear it because the air wobbles like within our eardrums, which our brain will then piece together as sound. Seismic waves, such as the Slave One creates, is seismic charge above are waves that propagate through the Earth's crust in the result of an earthquake or some sort of collision. But in space, again, there's nothing for that medium to travel through. So this effect would be absolutely impossible. But it is, I will say, it is like really cool to look at, and it creates a really fun, interesting visual, but it is just straight up wrong, sadly. Now, um, with waves in space, traveling through space is also no easy task either. Um, we'll talk about like the actual like main mode of transportation in the next slide, which is hyperspeed. But for now, again, like I kind of touched on with the asteroid belt, it's really, really important to get a good idea of how large space is. Um, if we went the fastest speed reached by a man-made object was 153,454 miles per hour, made by the Parker Solar Probe in 2018. Even at traveling at this speed, it would take around 40 days to get from Earth to Mars. These are two planets in the same solar system, and if we wanted to go from one planet to another side of the galaxy, say like the inner rim of Coruscant all the way to Tatooine, it's going to take it would take so many years, billions upon billions of years. Uh, Another example would be Tatooine to Ilum, which is a planet in Star Wars where the Jedi younglings get their kyber crystals to make lightsabers. And that would take about 46, 462 billion years to travel to, or about 33 times the age of the universe. It's space is big. I think people forget just how big. I think I do want to do a little plug here because I think a show that really helps explain that is Adventures to the Edge of the Universe, which we do like every third Friday about, I'd say, right, Jessica?
Sorry, I
Would
had
you
to
say
unmute
that?
myself. Yeah, so it's, I think every three, because I think we have three shows we
Yeah,
rotate through on Fridays right now.
yeah, yeah. But it is a great show, and it really I think it helps kind of quantify just how big the universe really is a little bit more. Moving on, we're gonna get into probably the biggest thing within Star Wars that everyone kind of recognized, and that is hyperspace, light speed. Um, so and that's kind of Star Wars's excuse for getting away to this. Hyperspace is a dimension that ships will go into to shortcut between point A and point B. Uh, the way they do that is by reaching the speed of light. Now, it's hyperspace is kind of a neat way to make the lore of light speed make a bit more sense. But the biggest problem is actually just getting to light speed. As an object's speed increases, it takes more and more energy to accelerate it to a greater speed. Once the speed of an object starts getting to the speeds in the like even tenths of a percentage of the speed of light, the energy that's required to accelerate them further becomes increasingly large. And close to the speed of light, close to the speed of light becomes effectively impossible just because the energy output is so big. Um, and additionally, rather than launch from low speeds to light speed very quickly, like we see in Star Wars, we see like at the beginning of episode 4 when they're all leaving Tatooine, we see Han basically just press down on a lever and then they just go. Although of course it takes a little bit of time to charge up the light speed, but it's so much. It would take so much longer. And not only that, just the inertia from going to light speed would absolutely kill you, which is really, really sad to think about. I will say this is one thing where Star Trek kind of beats Star Wars. Star Trek actually has inertial dampeners, which kind of helps fight that basic theory.
Don't they do, and this is me showing my like people who've seen these shows and seen us know I'm not like the biggest Star Wars or Star Trek fan.
Mhm.
But I swear in Spaceballs, they do a bit joking about the inertia into hyperspace.
They do. I haven't seen Spaceballs in years, but they definitely do. I do absolutely remember that because Star Wars does not touch on it at all, which is actually kind of a funny thing to think about. Um, Moving on, one thing Star Wars did right, despite the widespread misinformation that it was based off of, was the famous line that Han Solo has, uh, that he did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. And now at first it sounds like he made this drive in this distance. Like he's saying like I drove from Minneapolis to Los Angeles in 20 miles because a parsec is a unit of distance and it's just over about 3 light years. Now obviously this sounds wrong, but what Han was actually saying, since the Millennium Falcon is so fast, he was able to take a shortcut through a dangerous region of space to make shorter, the trip shorter. We can see this right here, where he went through this kind of this big nebula right here that's also orbiting around this area called the Maw, which is a bunch of black holes kind of all orbiting around each other. Um, and he was able to, and because his ship was so fast, he was able to navigate this and get out of this in only 12 miles instead of taking this long 12 parsecs and only taking this super long um uh traditional Kessel Run route. Uh to kind of make add a little bit more information. The Kessel Run is like a big maze that orbits this thing called this planet called Kessel, which is a big spice planet, and a lot of spice mining occur there. But again, Han was able to kind of cut through and make a bit of a shortcut because the ship was so fast. Um, if you are more interested in the Kessel Run, I'd recommend going and watching Solo: A Star Wars Story. Not only is it just like a really, really solid movie, but it's just really, really fun. Moving on to our last section of this. Wow, this kind of went really fast. Is going to be lightsabers. Now, lightsabers are the coolest thing like ever. I still, as like a full adult who can vote, still wish that I would ever get like a real lightsaber like under my bed someday and be like and just be able to play with it. But they sadly do not quite work how we would hope. Um Lightsabers could be constructed in the same way that blaster bolts were made, with the plasma being contained by a self-generated magnetic field, or with an actual laser generated with a hilt. But the energy required to consistently heat the plasma or power laser would be far too much for you to be able to hold in your hand. Also, there'd be no way to stop the end of the blade, so it eventually just keep going. You'd get like just this infinitely long blade, which would not be very convenient. And if it was made of light, you'd have to stop it with some type of mirror, which only ruins your ability to stab, which not only ruins your ability to stab with a saber, but will send a light back to the hilt and then destroy the hilt as well. Uh, we also run into a problem with cooling the hilt, which would take more and more energy and more space than what's available at the back of the hilt. Not to mention, battle constraints would be devastating since the plasma would be extremely light and the light is massless. It Everything about this would make lightsabers sadly impossible. But I do have one cool thing to end off our show, and that is going to be a YouTube video by the Hacksmith where he did make a real life lightsaber. Now it's not an actual lightsaber, it's what's called a proto saber, which is the kind of the first lightsaber within the canon of the Star Wars universe, and the lightsaber is connected to a battery pack. This lightsaber has a tungsten blade and heats up to about 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Now it can cut through most materials, and it's probably the coolest thing and closest thing we have to a real lightsaber. Um, I would say this channel is not very kid friendly, so if you have younger kids, maybe at least screen it first before you actually check it out. But other than that, that is going to be at least the end of my section of the show. Jessica, do we have any questions?
We do not yet. So,
Alrighty.
if anyone has questions, now's a
Oof.
good time to put them down in the comments. It was so fun seeing the show again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope I hope I carried on Eli's tradition a little bit.
I think you did very well.
Thank you.
And
I
I
let
still have, like, I have all these grand ideas for when we get it in the dome.
it'll be really fun.
Like, we can have the Millennium Falcon fly
Yeah.
across. It's gonna be great.
Make like a we can make like a little animation of like the of like the maw and like the big like nebula around Kessel, so we can have it like bobbing and weaving through if
Yeah.
possible. That'd be dope. That'd be really cool.
So we got a question. I believe this is your mom.
This is my
Um,
mom and that's my aunt as well.
so who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Uh I first things first, I want to show this off, which is a Star Wars lunchbox that I have. I have another one up there, but I don't really want to grab it. And Han Solo. I am I love Han Solo. I love as my mom knows, I was obsessed with Harrison Ford as a kid. I I love Han Solo.
I don't have an answer since I'm not a big Star Wars
Yeah,
fan.
yeah,
I
it's
can say
okay.
I
It's
love the
okay.
Ewoks.
Yeah, the
The
Ewoks are
Ewoks
great.
are adorable.
The Ewoks are awesome.
And oh, what's his name? BB-8. I know he's in the newer
BB-8,
ones, but he's so
BB-8's great.
cute.
He's so cute. He rolls around. That's all he
I
does.
know. I want the Lego model of him.
Yeah, yeah. If you BD1 is from one of the games. It's from a game called Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
I know that game.
He's so cute. I love BD1 so much. There's a Lego set of him that's like life size, and it's so cool. I really, really want it.
See, I that's the thing. There are so many just great Star Wars Lego sets, and I don't feel
Oh,
like I can buy them without being a real Star Wars fan, but I
my
want
my
them.
my dream is I need to get the Lego Death Star. Let someday I need to get like the like not like the like basic one. I mean like the like giant
Like,
one. Yes.
yeah, my advisor in grad school was working on the Millennium Falcon one.
So
He
cool.
had it in his office, and he would just like take breaks and work on it, or like if his kids came to hang out with him after they got out of school, like they'd work on it.
Hmm.
Um, it was always really cool to see the progress every time I went in to talk to him.
The my friend has a Lego Millennium Falcon. It's so cool. That'd be one that's like such a blast. That's up there with like one of my like oh when I get like a like like a better job and stuff. That that when I get paid the big
When you
bucks,
get
that's my
real adult
first
money.
thing. When I get adult money, I can. That's my first thing I'm buying. I'm buying a Lego. I'm buying a Lego Death Star. Not not only like that, but like there's a bunch of. I have so many Lego plans I get.
Oh yeah, I'm still trying to save up the big adult money for Legos.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
I'm a teacher.
Hey, I'll be right there with you. But it's still,
Oh,
that's so cool.
okay, we got a little sidetracked, as
Yes.
we tend to do here.
Hmm.
Um, I am not seeing any more questions. I am seeing lots of great jobs, which I completely echo that sentiment as well. So let's do one last call for any questions. I will tell you what, where's it at? There we go. What shows we have coming up at the Planetarium this week. So Friday is going to be Expedition Moons. So if you want to learn about even more moons in our solar system and not just our Death Star Mimas, you can
Hmm.
come hang out with us Friday. And then Saturday is our last weekend showing in my backyard and seeing a photon's journey across space, time, and mind. These shows will come back eventually, but this is the last time we're going to be running them for now. We'll have a new set of shows for Saturday starting next week, since next week is March. Speaking of, a week from now, our next live stream is our March What's Up show, where we'll go through the
Whoa,
astronomical
already?
events coming up in March. Yeah, I know. Which also means, Brayden, next Wednesday, we have a month until Astronomy Day.
Whoa, that's crazy.
It's,
God, that's so weird to think about. Wow. Time, stop.
yeah, I know. I had that realization earlier today and was like, ooh, I need to get back on planning bad. Um, so we will have lots of information about Astronomy Day coming out very soon. It is planned for Saturday, April 1st from 7 to 9 p.m. Yes. No, 6 to 9
Yeah,
p.m.
yeah, 6 to 9, 6 to 9.
6 to 9 p.m. Um, at the planetarium, we'll have planetarium shows, hands-on activities, telescope viewing if the weather cooperates with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're hoping to have some really cool raffle prizes. And I'm just
Hmm.
going to pause there because I don't have anything confirmed yet, so I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but I'm very excited for this. Um, and yeah, it's going to be a great day. And I promise to have lots of information very soon. It's just we have a lot going on right now. So yeah, it's gonna be good. All right.
All right.
I'm not seeing any other questions, so I think we will wrap it up there. So thank you, Brayden, for bringing back one of our most popular shows. Um,
Okay.
and we will be working to get this in the planetarium.
Yes.
Hopefully, maybe the summer
Yes.
is the goal. Someone's got a summer project.
I will be getting, I will be doing it. I will be doing it. Don't worry.
And yeah, so it'll be great. So again, everyone in the region dealing with this winter storm, stay safe out there for the next couple days. Otherwise, if you're not dealing with the winter storm, enjoy the next few days while we are
Oh yeah.
bunkered down in pretty sure we are up here supposed to get blizzard-like conditions. I know the people getting hit real hard are definitely
Yeah.
getting it.
Yeah, that it's where I know Duluth is definitely a lighter, surprisingly like a lighter place. We're
Yeah, I
getting
think
hit.
the southern half of Minnesota is getting it
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
But yes, stay safe, stay warm, and we will hopefully see you again sometime in the future. So have a good week, everyone, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.